Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Donald Trump is unpopular. He's trying to force through an unpopular agenda and kind of hoping no one notices, but sometimes, once in a while, he gets caught and he has to retreat. Well, today's one of those days. Last night on this very program, we brought you this story, a story about the Trump administration announcing they were going to gut the Women's Health Initiative, a groundbreaking 30-year study into preventative health care for postmenopausal women. It's funded by the NIH, National Institutes of Health. It costs only about, get this, $10 million a year in the trillions of dollars in the federal budget. Now, the Women's Health Initiative has done a bunch of really important research on subjects like breast cancer and heart disease and osteoporosis. By the government's own estimate, it has saved countless lives and billions of dollars in medical costs. But Trump and Elon Musk tried to end it. And last night, we put a spotlight on that and we asked, who exactly voted for this? Well, it turns out no one did. After spotlighting that story, lo and behold, get this. Administration reversed course, announcing today they're going to keep funding the study. Federal officials saying, don't worry, don't worry about that. Now, if only the same could be said for many of the other countless destructive budget cuts, like just for instance, eliminating inexplicably funding for National History Day, a competition where middle and high school kids share their love of history. But fundamentally, what they're banking on is that they're doing so much in so many different parts of the government that are so destructive, no one can just pay attention to all this stuff, right? It's going to go past most voters. Because what they are actually doing is really unpopular. Now, the key here is that Donald Trump wants you to believe desperately that he is popular. It's all part of the con. Just because he managed to win a plurality of voters, which he did, with very poor approval ratings and 4 criminal cases tailing him, including a conviction in state court. And he did manage to win the popular vote, unlike in 2016. It's the first time in 3 tries. But all of a sudden, after that victory, the conventional wisdom quickly congealed that America was Trump country, that he was a political colossus. Remember, the guy won by about 1.5 points, hardly a landslide. He was inaugurated with basically the highest approval rating that he has ever had, which also happened to be the second lowest approval rating ever for a new president, topped only by himself the first time around. He has never been very popular. And his approval rating has only gone down since. Nate Silver tracks the average over on his Substack. Full disclosure, some of the graphs on that site are really difficult to show on TV. They require lots of explanation. This ain't one of them. See that there? You can see what that's doing. The line just keeps going down. Even Fox News has no choice but to face this reality.
If you look at our new Fox News poll at 100 days job approval compared to other presidents, there you see the president at 44%, and you see his first term at 45% at this mark, the 100-day mark. We have other new polls that are revealing some concerns about the economy.
Boy, that's a tough graphic if you're Donald Trump sitting in the White House watching Fox News all day. That's the kind of clip that really gets Donald Trump yelling at the TV. In fact, he's now calling for Fox's pollster to be fired. Also says the Wall Street Journal sucks. We're not even 100 days in, and Trump is already at the polls are fake stage. But again, they show what they show, even at the granular level, right? When you dive into it and you look through the numbers, you break his approval rating down by issue. Things don't get any better for him. I mean, he is underwater on basically everything. Let's start with the economy. That's supposed to be Trump's bread and butter. Traditionally, it's been his biggest strength. That same Fox News poll has 56% of voters approving of Trump's handling of the economy. 38 approve. Underwater by 18 points. And it's not hard to see why. He ran on making things cheaper on day one. That was his promise. But maybe you've noticed things are not cheaper. They are not. Instead, he started a trade war, tanked the stock market, is about to make everything more expensive. A new Reuters Ipsos poll shows disapproval of Trump's handling specifically on the cost of living at 57%. That Fox poll shows him with a 59% disapproval rating on inflation and a 58% disapproval rating on tariffs. A new Pew poll has disapproval of the tariffs at 59%. The data here is real crystal clear, right? Keep in mind, and this is key, stuff hasn't even really started to get more expensive yet. The fallout from the tariffs takes time. There's a delayed reaction before we start seeing shortages and price hikes. Now, if that happens, it's sort of an interesting question. about what happens to Trump's numbers. Can they go lower? Can they break through the previous floor? But here's the thing. It is not just the economy, even on immigration, right? Where he likes to pretend the country is just overwhelmingly united on his side. He's slipping. A bunch of recent polls show him underwater on issues of immigration, ranging from about a point to as much as 5 points. That was not the case a month or 2 months ago. That Fox News poll provides some interesting insights because when voters were asked about border security, Trump is doing very well. But when they were asked about immigration at large, look at that, his approval was underwater. That, I think, is due to his neglect of due process. The stories of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the young graduate students here totally legally who've done nothing wrong at colleges, getting abducted off the street and put into prison, or the people deported to a foreign gulag with no trial because they had an autism awareness tattoo, not very popular. Look at this, okay? A new Economist YouGov poll. Half of all Americans say Trump should return Kilmar Abrego Garcia to the U.S. Only 28% say he should not. Even Trump's so-called war on woke, that was a key component of his campaign and a huge part of what they're doing in the government, even that is underwater. Look at this. His attacks on DEI, which are really attacks on civil rights law, are unpopular. He's down 9 points on the issue, according to one poll. Now, instead of changing course, Trump is doing more of what voters say they dislike. In fact, yesterday, he signed an executive order that seeks to just straight up annihilate a key provision of the Civil Rights Act. He's basically ordering the federal government to ignore what's called disparate impact. That's when some institution does something that on paper may look neutral, but in practice ends up discriminating disproportionately against one group or other. It's part of the original Civil Rights Act. It's a bedrock civil rights principle. It's something that Martin Luther King Jr. and the people of that generation marched for, that they died to protect in this country. Trump signs an order wanting to undo it. Now, I will say, to be fair, when he signed the order last night, it sure did seem like he was hearing about it for the first time.
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order on disparate impact theory. This is a theory that underlies a lot of the modern DEI and CRT-driven diversity culture. The basic idea here is instructing your departments and agencies to no longer rely on disparate impact theory as they're regulating, as they're issuing guidance, as they're making rules. We want to focus on results. We want to focus on actual fairness. We want to focus on merit, not things like disparate impact theory and the whole sort of diversity, equity, and inclusion cult.
It's getting out of that, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he seems to have total command. I don't think this stuff plays well with anyone. Again, I don't want to overstate the case here, right? Like, we're a very polarized country. Trump just won an election that, by all rights, I think it was preposterous he won, but he won. There's enduring popularity among his base. But again, Trump keeps acting like he has a huge mandate. In reality, he is unpopular at basically every turn. Because here's the thing, and this is really key, and we've seen this now a few times, so whatever skills he has at marketing and branding, and they are considerable, one has to say, he does not have the same skills for governing. Turns out people bought the packaging, but once again, we're all reminded the product inside sucks. The only thing keeping him afloat is an agenda of intimidation and fear that enforces a politically toxic kind of discipline among Republicans in Washington. They feel they have to go along with his unpopular agenda. But I think, not guaranteed, I think it's going to catch up to them eventually. Because fundamentally, right, look at those numbers, look at where the country's at. They don't have the American people on their side right now. And I think the data is pretty definitive on that.